To another story now, one that is also causing a bit of a stir on social media. We've been getting lots of comments in on Facebook on this one, and that is the news today from a poll that Egypt is the worst country for women's rights in the Arab world. This is according to a poll of gender experts. It was a study conducted by the Thomson Reuters Foundation, and it found that sexual harassment, high rates of female genital mutilation and growth in conservative Islamist groups contributed to the low ranking of Egypt. Iraq ranked second worst for women's rights, followed by Saudi Arabia, then Syria. And the poll surveyed more than 330 gender experts in 21 Arab League states. With me in the studio is Noman, who is a producer for BBC Arabic. I say controversial because we have been inundated, haven't we, Mai, with comments from women, particularly in Egypt, saying on the whole that they disagree. Is that the sense you've been getting?
Yeah, absolutely. On our pages on social media, we've gotten a lot of response from women and men, especially from Egypt, questioning the results of this report. For them, they agree that, of course, sexual harassment is a serious issue in Egypt, female genital mutilation as well, but that this, in comparison to the situation of women in other Arab countries such as Saudi Arabia, where women still don't have the right to drive and still need male guardianship in many aspects of life, and other countries such as Yemen, where women still have very poor access to education and employment, still face serious issue with child marriage, and so the comparison there, people are a bit baffled with.
I'm just looking at my laptop because just before coming on an air, I asked people to tweet me if they had some experiences, and really it's very different. Cherie Barron saying, I agree, in the 10 years I've lived in Egypt, I've seen a rapid decline in rights and rice and abuse due to extremism. But then Esfahan Hamim tweeting me and saying, this is not true, nobody tops Pakistan, Afghanistan, Somalia, Saudi, Yemen, etc., etc. So obviously there's a huge amount of disagreement. But one of the things they pointed out in the poll is just the day-to-day sexual harassment of women in Egypt. You know, that is just fundamentally, they say 99% of women in Egypt suffer from some kind of sexual harassment just from walking down the street. I mean, has that been getting worse?
Yes, for me personally, I grew up in Egypt, although from Yemen, but you know that going out to the street, you will face some sort of harassment, whether verbal or more physical. And so that's in the back of your head, and you always feel a bit unsafe. But still, I mean, Yemen is still another country where 98% of women get harassed on the street. So it's still an issue in many Arab countries, not just in Egypt. But I think what we're seeing in Egypt is that women's rights are in regression, actually. And, you know, with the rise of violence since the revolution, it kind of, had a spillover on sexual harassment.
So what do parents say to young women like you, your friends, sisters, when they're about to leave for, to go somewhere, when they're about to go on the street?
That's where you see the real setback, is that parents are now holding back their daughters, especially if, they shouldn't go out on their own without male friends or relatives. They shouldn't be out later than 10 o'clock, let's say. So there is more restriction now on women's movement.
Mai, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
So much reaction coming in on that story. So do go to our Facebook page as well if you want to contribute to the debate and let us know what you think.